Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. Okay, so I've been teasing this gun up on my desk for a little while now. Well, I'm about to break it down, start cleaning cosmoline out of it. And I figured some of you might want to see the disassembly process. It's actually really easy. Not as easy as some guns, but it is still easy. So, get started. This is Zastava M57. It's a Tokarev style pistol. Main difference is it takes nine rounds in the magazine instead of 8. So for disassembly, the first thing you want to start is this little pin, this little whatever you call it. There we go. Now we don't want to go. We only want to get off of this first pin it's holding, this little retainer. We want to leave it on the second one still. And then I like to cock the hammer. I know this is not loaded because I do not even have ammo for this gun yet. So you pop out the mag catch, the slide stop. And that was that other pin on that side. From there, the slide will slide right off. We've got our recoil spring. Pop out like normal, and it is a full recoil spring. And there, you got this little tab here. You want to go ahead and push that down. And then the barrel bushing, you slide 180 degrees all the way around. Pop it right off. Now the barrel should slide right out. You might have to, okay, right here, where it's at, it won't slide. You actually have to press up right here just a little bit. Find there's a groove or something in there. You find that groove, and it comes right out. There we go. I'd say that's disassembled enough. Coming over here to the frame. This thing has a complete unit, which all of these do. This is a complete unit with a hammer, firing mechanism, ejector, and all that. You just pop that right out. You lift it up by the hammer, it comes right out. Okay, and then probably the hardest part of this is these grips, taking these off. And it's hard to see, but when holding the gun, it would be the left-hand side. You want to take it off first. There's a little tab. I'm not going to be able to show that on camera, but I'll show it once I get it out. But you reach in, a little tab, and there's a little groove. Pull it to the back. And unfortunately, sometimes it takes just a little bit of effort with a screwdriver to get it off. That worked better. I put the screwdriver in and just kind of pivoted it up. But here's the tab right here. It stays like this, and these little ends lock it into place. You just have to put something right here and slide it around like that. It'll pop right off. Then the other one you can pretty much see in there. This one you just pop it down, and that grip comes on off. Okay, last thing I think we got is the trigger here. Which you have this little blades type spring in the back here. You have to push back on. While pushing back on that, you have to, making sure you guys can see this, but right there, the whole trigger mechanism Slide it down, and then you just kind of work it out of here. Gonna have to push back on the trigger. There it goes. And then you gotta kind of pivot it a little bit. Where it's sitting in the gun, you kind of have to pivot it up and back, and it falls right out. But there we go. Got cosmoline all over my hands now, but this thing is pretty much disassembled. Little locking. Yeah, that's good. I'm not going to take the mag catch out. And the spring in the back, I think, is pretty much made into it. I know it's hard to see, but yeah, there it is. That spring right there. And the mag catch. I ain't going to take those out because they're just hard to put back in. But we've pretty much got everything disassembled. I'm going to start cleaning on them. The metal parts, I'm actually probably going to throw in my oven for a couple hours, so kind of melt the cosmoline off of them. So I'll be back later. All right, I have everything ready to go in the oven. My little cosmoline elimination pan. It's got a little piece of paper in there. A little piece of plastic in there. Yeah, this is my cosmoline elimination pan. Well, anyway, set these. I did not put the grips in there. These I'm going to clean another way. I'm not throwing them in my oven. My oven gets down to 170 degrees. Lowest setting it has, so I'm probably going to turn my heater off and leave the door just cracked for a couple hours and see if that works out. All right, everyone, I will be back. Okay, so here we are, back with everything. I heated them up real good, got most of the cosmoline kind of leaking out of them. And then I took them out the oven. It probably took about 3 hours in the oven. Got all the cosmoline kind of broken up and runny a little bit. Then I wiped them all down and then sprayed them down with some gun scrubber. The grips, what I ended up doing is I sat them in my sink and just ran hot water over them for about 5 minutes. And it broke most of the cosmoline off pretty good. What it didn't, I wiped down and then a little bit more gun scrubber. And then I oiled, of course, the metal pieces down. And I'm going to kind of spray everything down with a little bit of oil. And just kind of wipe it in. Pretty much re-oil treat the metal. Of course, any excess after the fact, I'll just kind of, I don't know if you got any of that in the video, but yeah, just retreating the metal with some oil. Okay, I don't even know if you missed that or not, but I just kind of retreated all the metal parts with oil. Definitely used a good bit of excess oil, but I don't mind. I like to use excess, and then I'll put more oil on it before I'm done with it. And then just kind of let it drain out and wipe it down later. But I'm going to go ahead and reassemble the gun now. So first things first, we take the trigger. Same way it came out, it's got to go back in. And there we go. Back in. And we take the grips. There we go. Make sure it's on correctly. And we'll just push this little tab right here. If I can catch it. On down. That grip's locked in. The next one's got the tab that's kind of hard to see. I'll lay it on. I've got to reach in the gun. This one's actually easier to move, at least. But there we go. We got grips back on. Put our firing mechanism in. Now we need to build our slide. The same way the barrel came out, it's going to go back in. Then this little tab you want to lock up. That's not a lock, you just want to press it up. Where was I before I knocked everything off the table? Let's try this again. Okay, so we got the barrel in. And we want to put this barrel bushing on. Right there, it's on. Then we slide our recoil spring in. The hardest part about this recoil spring is getting it perfectly lined up and back in. But there we go. Just fits down in that groove right in front of the piece for the barrel there. That being assembled, I'd already put this in. Let's put it back in. There we go. All right, then we just slide the slide on. Like so. Push this on back. Once the slide's back on, you just look for that hole to line up. It's back just slightly from where the slide sits, and then that falls in place. Hold it in place. Oop. Well, I gotta pull it back out. I let this little pin catch go a little too far, but once that's in place, this little pin catch, you just push on. All of that seems in working order. Now I'm going to lift this camera up a little bit. Now, you'll notice the trigger does not fire after reassembling it. Don't think that your gun's wrong or anything. Put the magazine in. Then everything works. But the gun doesn't function without that magazine. Alright, we have a reassembled gun. It's oiled up pretty good. I'm going to spray some more oil on the insides just because I want to make sure it's good and oiled. And then I'm going to sit the whole thing over to the side to kind of drain. The talk rub laying in that same pan I used to remove the cosmoline. I'm just wiping the excess oil off of it now. A lot of excess oil dripped out into that pan, which I can then, of course, recycle. Yeah, it's still got a little bit of oil on it. That's fine. I don't mind using a little bit of extra oil. Cycle it a few times. Pull the magazine out, wipe that down, and you'll have a little bit of oil come out of there now and then. I'll do that a few times, but it's about ready now. It's all cleaned up. It cycles pretty darn good now. I think it's about ready. All that cosmoline is pretty much out of it. It's oiled up and ready to go. The oil will still kind of leak out of it at times. If you don't like that, you can of course break it back down a second time and wipe everything down real good. The fact is, at this point, the oil is kind of soaked into the metal good. The metal's retreated after pretty much blasting everything out of it. So, you can do that. I'm not going to because I don't mind a little bit of oil kind of leaking out. And what I'll do is I'll have it laying in here, and every time I walk in here, I'll cycle it a few times. Get a little bit of oil, wipe it back down. I'll do that multiple times before it's over with.